What's going on, everybody? This is Richard Hake, aka The Hawk, with the Prospect Pod. We are back again for another week talking about prospects, talking about the system breakdowns, and this week we are talking about the San Diego Padres, a system that has been up, it's been down, it's been traded, it's been moved around. We're sure to be able to get into a lot of fun today. So before I do that, I do want to get into some housekeeping. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the podcast, rate and review. It really does help us get our name out there into the industry. We've had a lot of fun here recently on the Weekly Streamer Facebook group page as we have posted our first Raz of the year. If you don't know what a Raz is, it's basically a raffle. We usually have a signed piece of MLB merchandise. In this case, it's a signed Shane Bieber jersey, which is pretty awesome. We've already got that full, which is absolutely amazing. It was done in like less than an hour. So we'll be doing a drawing for that on Friday night. So that'll be fun. You guys will listen to this Friday morning. Later on in the evening, you'll be seeing the Raz on the Weekly Streamer Facebook group page. We have a public page that is accessible to everybody, and then we have a private page. The private page really just kind of keeps everybody, kind of protected, I guess, in a way. So you don't have a whole lot of spammers, all sorts of other crazy stuff. So we typically live on the private page more so than the public, but we do appreciate any sort of support that you have in following us there. If you guys want, please follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Must Be the Hawk. If you guys were following me last night, I was able to get out to High A Greensboro and get some live looks. I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But you'll usually see my live looks right off the bat there on Twitter. I try to get on there as much as possible. And now that the season's in full force for the minor league side, you'll be seeing a lot more of me on there. And of course, if you guys haven't already, check out our Patreon page. It's brand new. We started it here in November. The system breakdowns that we're going over today, we go over 1 through 10, but that's not all that you get on there. You do get the write-ups 1 through 10. You also get the rankings 11 through 30 on there. It's a great community there on the Weekly Streamer Patreon page. If you want to go back and look at our back catalog of these different systems, you can, because they're all easily accessible on there. Whereas on the Facebook group page, we do show 1 through 5, but they get buried in that really quickly. There's tons of conversation that's going on the Facebook page. If you're not seeing it whenever it's posted, you probably won't see it because it'll end up getting buried real quick. There on the Patreon page, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see the top 500 dynasty rankings. That has 3 years salary projection. So if you're in salary leagues and you want to know what some of these guys' projected salaries are, this is a great tool for you guys. We got it all set up for you. Top 650. Now I think it's getting closer to 700 right now in prospects on the prospect rankings for Dynasty. That's my rankings that I put on there. I try to adjust it somewhat regularly. I don't like to tinker a ton, but I will get some movement, and you'll be able to see it on there because I put a pre-rank on there so that you can see where, I'm higher on a guy now than what I might have been a month ago, And then, of course, we do the first-year player draft rankings. I have it on there for 2022. Eventually, once the draft is done, and I'll start working on 2023. So to build the value there, you get a head start on your league mates for next year by subscribing to the Weekly Streamer Patreon page. $5 a month gets you all that, and it does support what we do here. We don't personally take a dime. Everything that we do here with the Weekly Streamer is all voluntarily done. It is just to grow the group page and grow to something a little bit bigger. So we appreciate everything that you guys do there. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of jump into the pre episode, right? Why not? Like I alluded to earlier with the Twitter bring up, I did get a chance to go see High A Greensboro, which is the Pittsburgh Pirates affiliate. And as you guys have probably heard me talk about a lot, I live in Greensboro, North Carolina. So typically I get a chance to go out there more frequently. So you'll hear a lot about their system. But don't worry, I do travel a lot in North Carolina, and I travel a lot in my normal job, my everyday job, in which that I am able to get into like the Northeast and different parts of the country. And sometimes I'm able to get over to a ball game and take a look and see what I can see from there. Besides that, I do scouting, on MILB TV. So there's that too. But this last trip to Greensboro, last night I saw Colton Cowser, Colby Mayo, Connor Norby, and then the usual suspects. That was with the Ironbirds, Baltimore High A affiliate for Aberdeen. For Greensboro, I saw Henry Davis. I saw, Hudson Head, Sami Zignani, Michael Escato, once again. I mean, it was great. Got a chance to meet Colby Mayo, um, Connor Norby, and Colton Cowser. And if you guys know anything about me or have seen my posts and everything like that, I'm a huge Colton Cowser fan. I really liked what he was able to do in Sam Houston last year prior to the draft. And I was excited to see him go as high as he did in the draft, going in the top 5 picks, I believe. So it was exciting to be able to talk with him a little bit. Really a reserved type of guy. He doesn't really talk a whole lot. I brought this up to my buddy Matthew Baisden, aka Matty Ballgame, and I was talking to him, and I see a lot, and people are going to kind of jump me for this, but I see a lot of Ted Williams build in Colton Cowser. Okay, I'm not saying that he's going to be Ted Williams by any means, although his skills with the bat to ball, OBP, everything like that in college was elite. And in his rookie debut, it did carry over. So, there's a little bit to like there. So far, solid performance to this point. In the game that I saw, he was able to get a base hit. He stole a base. I got a video of that. If you did see that on Twitter, that's awesome. Um, just a very solid hitter, a very flat swing. There's not a ton of power, though. I did read that they're working on trying to get a little bit more loft into his swing. This is a guy that could easily bat 300 on a yearly basis and have, a 400 to a 450 OBP. I mean, he's that good in terms of the strike zone. And, just making very, very solid contact last night as well. Colby Mayo, guys, I know the industry is extremely high on Colby Mayo, and rightfully so. I was very high on him whenever he was taken in 2020 in the 4th round, by the Orioles. And I thought that draft class, I've been on the record. If you guys heard my Baltimore system breakdown from the year prior, I thought that they did a fantastic job in going Kerstad, Jordan Westberg, and then getting Mayo back there in the 4th round and being able to save the money early to be able to pay him and keep him away from going to college. And it seems like it's paid off. Like I said in the earlier podcast this year, the reports out of camp was that he had the highest exit velocity in all the Baltimore Orioles system, which is amazing. And this guy, he's like 6'3", 6'4". He's about my size. But, I mean, jacked. I mean, he is absolutely, pumped, ready to go. Talk to him. He was really excited to be able to be there at high A at such a young age. I think he's only 20 years old, and he didn't disappoint, not at all. Yet last night he ended up hitting a 2-run jack in which that it just flew off the bat, and then had an epic A+ bat flip at the end. So if any of you got a chance, go on there onto the Twitter account. I'm going to upload these videos also onto the YouTube page so that way you guys can see it there. Hopefully I'll get this video up there too as well. I've been a little lackluster on that. One of the last, well, not really the last, but on the Ironbird side, I did see Connor Norby, and he took the first pitch of the game and exploded on it. Got it over the right field wall, almost a no doubt home run. And, really got them off to a fine start to start the game. This is a guy that, was here in our backyards at ECU in college, a very contact driven player. There's not a ton of power, but a really good swing to him. And he just got all of it. It was fantastic. On the, Grasshopper side or Greensboro, I was finally able to see a hit from Henry Davis. Okay. And I've been trying to see him get a hit, and all he does is get hit by pitches. You guys have heard me already talk about this on the podcast. He just seemed to keep getting hit by pitches, and he did in this game too, but he was able to get a double, a solid swing on it, got the barrel on the ball, great crack off the bat, dropped it in for a double. and scored an RBI too. The video's up there for you guys to take a look at. Um, all in all, I'll be honest with you. This is the let's see. I think this is the third or fourth game I think I've seen with Henry Davis, and I'll be honest with you, the defense is not good. It's not good, and the arm. I just don't think that there's not enough arm strength. And whenever he does throw to second, because they were challenging him all game, they were just running all over him. He throws it to the third base side, and it's so frustrating. Like, come on, man, hit it to the right. Hit it to the right. I mean, easier said than done, right? But what are you gonna do? Michael Escoto, once again, another mammoth shot, no doubt home run. You watch the video, you see him, he just stared it off and then took off from there. It was a 2-run home run. Guys bat 4 home runs already on this early season, but he is only batting 200. So when he makes contact, it goes a very, very long way. But there's still some contact issues in terms of getting the batting average there. So I do want to see that with Michael Escoto. Shortstop, I mean, the defense was fine. I don't think that he's better than Laevo Peguero, but it was pretty darn solid. Hudson Head, still haven't seen a whole lot out of him. Sami Zignari for once was cool. The last game that I went and saw in Winston, I'll talk about that here for a minute. It was a little bit more productive for Sami Zignani. That was pretty much it from the game. It was a great game to be able to see, great to talk to the players, got a couple signatures from them. That's always fun. And then the game, let's see, it was last Friday, I believe. I don't think I talked to you guys about that actually. Last Friday went out to Winston-Salem to the Dash, which is the high affiliate of the Chicago White Sox. Saw an Edney Rodriguez home run. That was epic. It was great. Sami Zignani had an awesome crack to the right field line. Showed me a lot of love on Twitter about that. Thank you, Zignani family, and everybody that's friends with him as well. And then, of course, one of the main attractions was being able to see, Oscar Colas, right? One of the top international guys from this year's international period. He looked fantastic. 23 years old. Yeah, he's a little bit older for the level, but even the competition against them, we're talking about 21, 22-year-olds, some 20-year-olds, but for the most part, that's kind of on par for what we're doing. I mean, great bat to ball skills. The 2 hits that he had 3 total hits. The 2 hits that he ended up knocking it down the third baseline. So it was showing that he was a little bit late with his hits. One was a double, one was a single. Solid shots all around. I mean, this guy's a big, burly looking guy. But looks like the bat to ball skills are real. This is a guy that could hit for good average, strong OBP. I want to see a little bit more in terms of the power because I didn't see that in the game. And to that point, he didn't hit any home runs. I have to double check and see if that's changed. But to this point, no home runs for Oscar Colas. He did have the walk-off hit. I got the video of that too. You guys can check that out. All in all, I mean, very good game. Really enjoyed it. That was one of my first times in Winston-Salem, which is very odd because it's literally right down the road for me. I just never had much of a reason to go down there, I guess. So that was fun. I'll definitely go back, go check that out. So yeah, if you guys want to take a look at those live looks, go on to Twitter. You can follow me at Must Be the Hawk. You'll be able to see it on there. Go onto your YouTube page for the Weekly Streamer Network. There you'll be able to find all the videos as well. And we're going to go ahead and get started on the episode because, of course, that's what you guys came here to listen to, right? The first prospect, no doubt, in my mind in this system is going to be C.J. Abrams. The shortstop was drafted in the 2019 draft class in the first round, 6th overall, 21 years old, 6'2", 185 pounds. And of course, right now he's really in the news because he was able to get the call to the major leagues. I think that he could have probably stood to, start the year, in Double-A, potentially go to Triple-A, but hey, this is the Padres. This is the same thing that they did with Fernando Tatis, right? Unfortunately, Abrams isn't really getting off to the same start as what Tatis did. Unfortunately, he got hurt in 2021. It was only, relegated to 42 games played. But in those 42 games, they were all done at Double-A. with a 296 average, a 363 OBP, and a 420 slug. That was really solid numbers. I mean, he went on an absolute tear by hitting uh, 14 doubles. He did only have 2 home runs, but 13 stolen bases. You like seeing that in Double A. The speed is legit. He can really take off on the base paths. And, Matty Ballgame and myself kind of go back and forth whether or not he's ready or not. Matt thinks he is. I think he needs a little bit more work. I want to see him get to a little bit more power, fill out a little bit in the frame. Because the kid, I mean, I call him a kid, but I mean, he is, relatively young. He's only 21 years old. So, I still felt like, dealing with the injury, he wasn't able to get the full weight training that he wanted to do, get a little bit more muscle on him, and maybe equate that to some doubles, triples, home runs. I'd love to see it. I mean, I'd venture to guess with Abrams. Here's the thing. I don't foresee 20 homer pop here. I mean, I'll be happy to be wrong. I see maybe 15, 10 to 15 here in the first season. Whenever he gets a little bit better, maybe a little bit more. But 15 is probably going to be where it's at, but I can definitely see, 20, 25, almost 30 stolen bases out of here. Would it be out of the realm of possibility of saying that this could be, if he's able to get his hits, a similar D Gordon scenario with just a little bit more power? Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, I really do like CJ Abrams. I don't want this to sound like I'm not, or I'm kind of hating on the guy. I think that there's a lot to like with CJ Abrams. I just want people to kind of taper their expectations a little bit, because I don't think that the power is going to be as pronounced. Solid hitter. Let's see it at the major league level. Once again, he's very young for the competition that he's facing. So be patient with him. Hopefully the Padres, will either get him going in the right direction and or send him down to be able to do a little bit more development. Moving on to my second prospect here, I'm going to be talking about Robert Hassell. This is the guy that everybody in the industry seems to be excited about. I liked him, but I wasn't high on him. I wasn't the high guy on him. I know Eric Cross absolutely loves some Robert Hassell. I think the Welsh with Prospect One also is, a big fan of Robert Hassell. Myself, I'm lukewarm. Anyway, Robert Hassell, 20 years old, 6'2". He is an outfielder, 195 pounds, drafted in the first round, 8th overall in 2020 by the San Diego Padres. He was a prep hitter in 2020 whenever he was taken. And, you know, I see that there is a lot of, projection for his power growth and everything along that line. He does have an extremely solid hit tool from the left side, great bat to ball skills. There is some speed here too, though I do question as he starts to fill out that 6'2" frame, whether that speed will dip down to average. In 2021, he didn't disappoint, moving over two different levels in 2021 in low A and high A. He did have a 302, 393, 470 slash line, which is fantastic. No doubt. I'm not going to end up saying anything negative about that. You're looking here at 33 doubles, 4 triples, 11 home runs. Okay. The home runs, not high, but I'm not going to hate on that because whenever you're seeing these doubles and triples, okay, triples to me are doubles. They end up being, extra because of the speed aspect. That's how I view them. Okay. So whenever you look at this, you're really looking at what, 37, doubles in this respect. That's fantastic. And that tells me that there's a little bit more power to be able to be tapped into. Now, how much power is that going to be? This was all done in 110 games. I don't personally see more than a 20 homer bat here. Maybe a 25 at some peaks, but I think that that'll be his max ceiling unless he puts on a whole lot more muscle, okay? And it's possible. It's possible that he could do that. 34 stolen bases. I do want you guys to be cautious because he did do this in low A. And if you've listened to me over this time, you've heard me wax poetically at the fact that in low A, they do have the look over rule. You look over twice as a pitcher. After that, you can't look over and try to check the batter back. So he could just run freely. He does have speed and the ability to steal bases. He only stole 3 bases at high A. They don't have that rule. Okay. So he stole 31 in low A, only 3 in high A. I can't sit here and tell you that he's a 30 stolen base threat. While he's young and not bulked up, maybe a 20 stolen base, maybe 25 at its best, but I don't fully see that. I don't. And whenever you see what he was able to do in the 18 games that he did get bumped up to high A, it was so so. It was so so. You know, a 205, 287, 410 slug does not get you excited about much. Though I will say that he was able to start the year here in high A, and it looks like he is coming out guns blazing, and it looks good. It looks really good. 11 games to this point, a 409 average, 438 OBP, and a 568 slug. That is getting it done in all facets of the game there. A double so far to this point, 2 home runs and 7 stolen bases. Good. You're getting the stolen bases going again. Let's get on up to 20, 25 bags and prove me wrong. Robert Hassell, let's go. I'd love to be wrong about this. I just like to keep it a little bit more realistic with Robert Hassell. Regardless, I do have him high on my San Diego Padres system breakdown, and I can live with that. Moving on to number 3. This is a guy that was kind of left for dead, right? And I was one of the first ones to be able to bring him down whenever I saw that things were just kind of going awry. I'm starting to come back around. I'm not fully invested back into Mackenzie Gore, who's our prospect right now. Left-handed pitcher, age 23, 6'2", 197 pounds. Drafted in the first round of the 2017 draft with the 3rd overall pick. This is a guy that just got the call to the major leagues, made his second debut start, if you will. And Mackenzie Gore looked really, really good in the second start. You know, and we're excited to see it. Already to this point, he has 2 starts in the major leagues, holding a 1.74 ERA, 10 and a third innings pitched, 10 strikeouts, a 194 average against. You know, limiting, the walks are still somewhat there. He's got 4 and 10 and a third. Not egregious, but you'd like to see that come down a little bit. He only got 1 start in AAA El Paso, and it was good. 5 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, 0 ERA. We're good with that. The reason why he kind of went down a lot of boards last year as well as over the offseason was a lot of worries that we had that he might be moving towards a reliever risk because he was starting to get a little wonky with his delivery. He played for 4 different teams last year in a rookie complex, high A, double A, and triple A. Combined, he had a 3.93 ERA in 12 starts, 50 and a third innings pitched, 61 strikeouts, and a 240 average against. The problem that we saw last year, and there still remains to be seen if this is going to be an issue or not going forward, is the fact that he gave up 28 walks, 50 and a third innings pitched. The control is what the issue is. This is something that wasn't a factor, in the 2019 season. Over the alt site, yeah, we were curious of what's going on with Mackenzie Gore because he wasn't getting the call, but we couldn't see anything, right? They were able to mask that to the point that we couldn't see. Well, now we're seeing that the control is a little bit of an issue in 2021. He might have gotten that under control, or at least got it to a point where he can work with, his 4-pitch repertoire and be able to try to get more swing and miss, get the outs that he needs to be able to be the dominant starter that we believe he can be. And at 23 years old, a left-handed pitcher, it's really good stuff. I think he was hitting 97 on the gun yesterday. You really like seeing that. He does work primarily with a fastball, a curveball that's got great break to it, a slider with good movement, sharp. It's a high. I think Matt saw it yesterday at a 90 mile per hour slider. So it's one of those really high speed, tight sliders, good movement. And a changeup that was impressive coming out of high school because typically the high school talents take a little bit longer to be able to develop that changeup, right? Able to pull the string, get that done with right away. The control is where we're at right now, right? But Mackenzie Gore's on the right track. I hope a lot of you who did hang on to him are reaping the rewards of him being in the major leagues. And the way that he's pitching, I don't see how you can take him out. I think, honestly, a 6-man rotation could be something that they do. Don't be surprised, Padres fans, if they do send him down just because they want to be able to keep him rolling on a normal schedule. That could be the case. Regardless, I really like Mackenzie Gore going forward, and I'm glad we're back on. Number 4 on our system breakdown is going to be James Wood. He is an outfielder, 19 years old, 6'7", 240 pounds. He is a big boy. Drafted second round, 62nd overall in the 2021 draft class by the San Diego Padres. And with James Wood, the question is going to be, what is the contact, right? That's what it was coming out of the draft. Being a high school talent, what is the contact going to look like? Is he going to be able to hit professional pitching? The Powers, no doubt, they saw, what his leverage from his just big size, natural size, is going to be able to do. And at 240 pounds, I mean, this guy is filled out. I hope that there's no more projection to this because this is perfect. I mean, this is almost Judgian in a way, right? Just coin that phrase. Anyway, little bit of play that he was able to get, actually a pretty decent amount in 2021. 26 games played, a 272 average, 465 OBP. That's elite, by the way, if you're not sure. 535 slug there for rookie ball. The 5 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 stolen bases. You like to see that in the first taste. Now the question comes, what does he do once he gets assigned to a level? Got assigned to low A to this point. They've only been able to play 2 games with him to this point, but so far 500 average, 636 OBP, and a 1.250 slug. That's huge, but very, very small sample size. It's only 8 at bats. But in those 8 at bats, 2 home runs, 1 stolen base. The power's legit. Looks like to this point so far, and we're going to see as he continues to see better pitching, how that hit tool will continue to develop and show and shine out there on the field. I really like James Wood, and I think that this is a very good target for you. With him being a second round draft pick, he is somewhat costly. But honestly, because he's so young, it seems like the skills are legit at this point. I'd probably pay up. I'll be honest with you. I'd probably pay up and I'd go and grab him, right away. We're going to go on to number 5 here. We're moving right along. Jackson Merrill is going to be the next prospect that we talk about here. A shortstop, 19 years old, 6'3", 195 pounds. He is drafted in the first round of the 2021 draft. We just talked about the second round pick, right? 27th overall by the San Diego Padres. Now, with Merrill, I was looking at, the numbers, and the numbers were very solid whenever he came, into the league. This is a guy that they believe has above average bat to ball skills. The fielding is what's going to kind of need to develop a little bit, but the Padres believe that they could be able to try to develop him into what they need. He could be a shortstop long term. He could be a second baseman. And at 6'3", I prefer personally to see him over at second base and let somebody a little bit more compact, a little bit more range, be able to run the shortstop side. This could be, I mean, I don't want to talk about replacements for third base whenever you sign Manny Machado to a 13-year deal, 12 or 13-year deal. I mean, he could play third, but realistically, I think second base is probably going to be his home long term. He's got the bat to hold there. He's a left-handed bat. So I think Jackson Merrill will be interesting in that regard. Regardless, he did play 31 games after being drafted. 280 average, 339 OBP, and 383 slug was fantastic. You look at, the doubles at 7, two triples, no home runs, 5 stolen bases. I mean, that's great. That's great. You want to see a little bit more pop. To this point, in the year, he's already started at low A. He's already played 10 games, a 378 average, a 440 OBP, a 444 slug. So those are solid numbers across the board. He's clearly hitting with authority, and getting on base at a very good clip. I mean, already 5 walks in 10 games. That's a win. We've already seen 3 doubles out of him and 4 stolen bases. So he's on the right track. Once again, no home runs. So once again, we got to see, is this going to be an above average power out of that frame? Is this going to be, a little bit lesser on that? Still TBD, but we'll be talking about it throughout the prospect pod in the season. I'm sure that he'll be brought up multiple times because he really has, to me, that kind of DJ LeMahieu type of feel to him. Okay. So I'll be very, very curious to see, how that looks going forward. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And whenever we do get back, we'll jump into the rest of the San Diego Padres system. Stick with us. All right, everybody. And we are back. Welcome back. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep diving into this Padres system breakdown. Number 6 on our list is going to be Joshua Mears, an outfielder, age 21, 6'3", 230 pounds. He was drafted in the second round of the 2019 draft class out of high school with the 48th overall pick. Joshua Mears to me reminds me a ton of James Wood, in the fact that, this is a guy that has really, really big power, and gets to it relatively easily. Let's see what we got here. Yep. In 2021, the average, it's once again the hit tool. What will the hit tool do long term? This is where we got to kind of see. Already to this point in 2022, he's played 11 games at high A, so a bump up here from where James Wood is playing right now, batting 293, 396 OBP, and a 780 slug. Fantastic numbers across the board. He's showing that he's able to make the bat to ball skills necessary, and high A's got some really good competition, right? So he's facing some good pitching there, and already he is crushing the ball. Like I said, 11 games, 5 home runs, 5 doubles. Yes, this is a fantasy owners, a dynasty owners, almost wet dream, right? A guy who can hit for average, great OBP skills, 6 walks in 11 games. Yes, please. And is putting RBIs, on the board. He's helping out your teams. 1 stolen base. This isn't going to be a guy that gets you steals. He's really going to be a power type of guy. And if these gains in terms of the average is true, look out, man. Joshua Mears could be a big time guy to be able to target. Last year, whenever he did play at low A in 2021, he did play 71 games. He had 17 home runs. Um, you know, uh, he had 32 or 31 extra base hits and 10 stolen bases. Solid numbers across the board. We're just seeing natural progression with him. We're seeing him fill out a little bit more. The 6'3", 230-pound frame. This is what I'm talking about. You put him and James Wood out there in the outfield, the future outfield, and they'll be coming up right about the same time. Sign me up all day. This is an outfield duo that I think is going to be very big in terms of prospect circles here in the very short future here. Too bad that they're over on the other side of the country, because I would love to be able to get some live looks at them. And if you are close to any of those, Padres organizations, let's take a look here. The Fort Wayne Tin Caps for San Diego. If you're out in Fort Wayne, let me know. I'd love to be able to see some Joshua Mears. We'd love to be able to get some live looks of that. All right, moving on to number 7 here, Mr. Victor Acosta, a shortstop, 17 years old, 5'11", 170 pounds. He was signed in the international draft class of 2021. This is a prospect that still needs to fill out a little bit, but has the skills to be able to be a long-term shortstop, right? So CJ Abrams could be a good shortstop candidate, but they're also playing him some in the outfield, some at second base. So who knows where CJ Abrams is going to end up long-term. Acosta, to this point, looks like he is going to be a shortstop. He's got very solid fielding skills, good, arm strength. He's got speed. He's got the ability to hit for average, if not the power yet. Hopefully, whenever he kind of develops a little bit more, he'll be able to get to that. He did play in the DSL in 2021, rookie complex there. 285 average, 431 OBP, and a 484 slug. He hit 12 doubles, 5 triples, and 5 home runs with 26 stolen bases. Fantastic numbers across the board. And the one thing, whenever you're looking at the DSL, you're going to see sometimes guys who have average looking statistics there. Those are the ones that more times than not end up struggling whenever they come stateside, whenever the talent level is a little bit of a boost. So when you're seeing a guy that's already almost hitting 300 and has such a high OBP at 431 over there in the DSL, it gets you a little bit excited, because you can already kind of bring it down a little bit. If he was able to go to low A, hit for 265, 270 with a 360 OBP, you'd still be happy with that. Yes, the bat to ball skills need to increase with the average, but it's going in the right direction. That's what you like to see out of Victor Acosta. And the stolen bases, I mean, they're genuine 26 stolen bases. Who knows? When he gets the bump, obviously, like I said, low A, he might do more. Say if he got to high A in the next several years, this is an easy 20 stolen base, per year, guy. So the speed is enough to be able to kind of stick there at that 20 range. So I'm fine with that. The extra base hits in the 12 doubles, 5 triples, that tells me that there's a little bit more power to be able to tap into here. And the 5 home runs, I like it. He gets some good loft. What does this equate to stateside? I don't know. I mean, it could be 10 to 15 home runs, maybe 25 to 30, 25, 28, doubles. If that's the case, you're on the right track. And this is a good guy to be able to kind of stash that doesn't cost you a ton right now in fantasy. So Victor Acosta is definitely a guy that needs to be on your radar going forward. Number 8, we are kind of flying through here. Iggy Rosario is our topic right now. 22 years old, 5'9", 150 pounds. He was signed back in 2015 in the international draft class of that year. Iggy has been around this organization for a long time, and I put this in my write-up. It just feels like he's been here forever. He's been here really since 2016. 2021 was a year in which that he continued to get those big gains that he was able to get in 2019. We thought in 2019 that what he was doing was, well above his head, and not quite sure if he was going to be able to repeat it. Well, he did repeat it in full force in 2021 by going to Double A, facing a little bit better competition there. A 281 average, a 360 OBP with a 455 slug. Those were, great numbers in terms of his batting average across the board. Now is where it gets interesting. He hit 31 doubles. And you take in the triples, and the doubles together, that's 34, doubles to that point. 12 home runs, which, eclipsed what he was able to do in less games by, 4 or 5? 5 home runs there. And he was able to do that in about 12 games less. So I like what I'm seeing here because there's a little bit more power that we can be able to get out of there. He gets closer to 20 home runs. That's a win. He was able to steal 30 bags. So almost a 20-30 guy at Double A. I like it. Sign me up all day. Now he's over here in Triple A. It's still to be seen if he's going to be able to continue that into Triple A. But we're going to be keeping our eye on Iggy Rosario because this is a guy that could really end up being a very sneaky grab for you guys in some of your, shallower dynasty leagues. If you want to try to get him on a call up, or even in the deeper dynasty leagues, he's just been around so long. Maybe people aren't quite paying attention, but numbers like that pop off the page, it doesn't take much for somebody to see why you'd be interested in him. Number 9 on our list is going to be Robert Gasser. Wow. Left-handed pitcher, age 22, 6'1", 190 pounds. He was taken in the competitive balance round B, 71st overall in 2021 by the San Diego Padres. So Robert Gasser, left-handed pitcher, had a solid, first taste of pro ball, went to rookie ball, did 1 start, and then went straight to low A where he made 5 starts. Total, he pitched 15 innings, struck out 14, a 212 average against. It looked good. It looked very solid. It was nothing that jumped off the page, but he does feature a good 3-pitch mix. Everything that could be classified as above average to plus, depending on when you're seeing it. In a fastball, slider, and changeup combination. This is a guy that throws, in the mid 90s, 95, 96. He could top out at 97 in his starts, though he typically tries to sit a little bit less. The slider, the slider has got, some good velocity coming in there. It's a mid 80s slider, usually sits around 86 with the tight break. So it's pretty darn effective. The changeup is good. It drops off the table here at the end, really kind of giving a little bit more of a kind of an out pitch, a little bit throw me off type of pitch. At 6'1", 190 pounds, there is a lot of reliever risk just due to the size. Though I will say here recently, in the pro side, we're seeing a lot more pitchers in this 6'1" to 6'3" range that typically before was kind of regulated to or relegated to the relief pitcher role, kind of thrive as starters, right? So, Robert Gasser could be the next one that does that. To me, I still see a reliever profile here, and in high A, kind of struggling a little bit right now with a 3.97 ERA and 11 in the third innings pitch. He has bumped up the Ks though, because he's up to 17 strikeouts to this point when the podcast is recorded. Though I do think that the hitters are hitting him pretty well because it's the 295 average against. You really don't want to see almost a 300 average against whenever you're talking about pitchers. So at high A, you want to see him dominate a little bit more before you get really invested into one of these guys. But Robert Gasser is a guy that at least I want to keep on my radar and watch as the season progresses. Number 10 here is going to be Daniel Montecino. And if you listen to the Padres podcast last year, this was another guy that I brought up. Once again, cracking into the top 10. An outfielder. He's 18 years old, 6 foot, 180 pounds. He was signed in the 2021 international signing period. All right. So let's take a look a little bit here into Daniel Montecino. With Montecino, he is a guy that has big time power projections, kind of like Wood, kind of like Mears. He's a left-handed bat, and at 6 foot, 180 pounds, he does still have some filling out to do. But at 18, he's getting close to where his max is going to end up being. Probably another year or so, we'll be able to see where that falls. So above average to plus power here in 2021 in the DSL. You saw the bat to ball skills take full effect. And as I was talking about with Acosta, you like to see whenever he has good bat to ball skills in the DSL, how that'll be able to translate whenever it comes over to the stateside, right? 316 average, a 444 OBP, and a 489 slug are fantastic. That's what you want to see. This will translate well into low A. Then you go and look at the doubles. You got 13 doubles in 56 games, 4 triples, 4 home runs, 8 stolen bases. Solid across the board. I want to see a little bit more power output out of a guy that could potentially have plus power, but he's going in the right direction. Montecino's a very under the radar type of guy. Hopefully you listened to me last year. You got him on the cheap. You could still probably do it here because he just seems so far away to a lot of these fantasy owners that don't want to wait. If you're patient, like I'm patient, almost probably to a fault, but if you're patient and let these guys develop, he's on track to where Wood and Mears is in terms of age. He's only a year or two younger than them. Okay. So this is going to be the next wave of outfielders coming to the San Diego Padres. Go ahead and get yourself on that train before it happens because this is looking pretty darn good. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to review over the top 10 once again of the San Diego Padres system. Number 1 was CJ Abrams, the shortstop. Number 2 was Robert Hassell in the outfield. Number 3 was Mackenzie Gore, left-handed pitcher. James Wood was number 4, outfielder. Jackson Merrill at shortstop was number 5. Joshua Mears, outfielder at 21. Victor Acosta, shortstop at number 7. Iggy Rosario at number 8 at second base. Robert Gasser at number 9, left-handed pitcher. And number 10, Daniel Montecino. So, guys, this is the San Diego Padres system breakdown. I'm going to bring up one guy that I want you guys to keep on your radars, okay? And I brought this up last year. Unfortunately, he ended up having Tommy John surgery and was out for the entirety of the year. I'm still high on this guy. A North Carolina prep arm that was taken in 2020. And Jager Haynes, a left-handed pitcher, 19 years old, 6'3", 170 pounds. He's a left-hander, just like Mackenzie Gore. I'm not saying he's going to be Mackenzie Gore, but he's got some pretty good stuff. An electric plus fastball that usually sits in the mid 90s right now. As he develops, it could be hitting high 90s. A strong slider. It has, a little bit more sweep than I'd like to see on it. But this is from the high school, tape. So we got to see something a little bit more recent. The changeup is advanced, which is, you guys always know I like to see that out of a high school arm. So it's an advanced changeup. I want to see it in play. Control, it might be a little wonky coming off of Tommy John surgery, but Jager Haynes is a guy that I want to get my hands on and hang on to and see what happens. He was taken in the 5th round of the 2020 draft class, so not a lot of hype. I think you guys can go out there and acquire him for really next to nothing. And once he gets back, probably mid-season this year, we'll see where we're at and reevaluate. All right, guys, I appreciate you guys listening to the San Diego Padres system breakdown here. Once again, subscribe to the podcast, rate and review. It really does help us get our name out there in the industry. Join the Facebook page. Join me on Instagram and Twitter at Must Be the Hawk. Check out the Full Count podcast hosted by Ryan Antkowiak and the Country Biscuit Hunter Rakes. It's a great show. You don't want to miss it. Here on the Weekly Streamer Network. And from everybody here at the Weekly Streamer Network, make sure you guys have yourselves a great baseball week.